What's been the fastest growing property market this year? Let's take a look at the big finish we're having to 2021 and have a little bit of a chat about what 2022 might look like for our key capital cities and property around Australia. My name's Luke. I talk about all things real estate, renovating and financial freedom. Subscribe to the channel and let's take a look at this article. The market that finished 2021 in first place with extraordinary growth. Brisbane has finished the year as Australia's fastest growing property market, with property prices continuing to rise while Sydney and Melbourne markets are slowing down. CoreLogic's Best of the Best report found Brisbane dwelling values rose 2.9% over November and a massive 7.4% over the quarter, its highest rate of quarterly growth since 2002. I've definitely noticed on the ground, we've definitely seen the demand in our buyers agency. Our bookings for those free strategy sessions are getting booked up. So if you want to have a chat, they're completely free. We sit down for around 40 minutes and chat about your financial situation, what you're looking to achieve through a property investment opportunity, and how we might be able to help you as a Brisbane buyers agency. So check out purposeproperty.com.au. If you want to have a free chat in the new year, those will keep opening up as we progress into 2022. So Brisbane has finished the year as Australia's fastest growing property market. Our clients have experienced this. Clients that bought with me 3 to 4, 5 months ago have seen some great growth in the last few months. I know we were picking up houses in some great areas that were in affordable price points in the low 400,000s, and you can't really get a property in these areas for less than 500,000 now. We've also been buying on the top of the market up around the $1 million mark of 1.2. And there's been some great buys, and I can see that growth continuing to happen into 2022. Now, the expectation of this strong growth isn't going to be there forever. I think demand will start to wane, but let's see what this article says around the growth we've had at the end of 2021. So Sydney rose by only 0.9% over November and Melbourne 0.6%. The only capital to come near Brisbane was Adelaide, where dwelling values rose 2.5% over the same time. Now, I quite like Adelaide, even though we're a Brisbane-based buyers agency. I quite like Adelaide as an opportunity. I think it's affordable. I think it's got some great drivers. It's got some great culture. And it's got a large population. It's one of our major capital cities. There's a lot going for Adelaide with its affordability and its lifestyle and living opportunities. So I can definitely see why Brisbane and Adelaide have been the strong growth areas, or growth cities, I should say, in the last few months. Brisbane's annual growth now sits at a massive 25.1%, only just below Sydney's growth of 25.8% and well above Melbourne's annual growth in 2021 of 16.3%. CoreLogic Head of Research Eliza Owen said Brisbane property market had managed to gain further momentum in recent months, while the other capitals were flagging, mainly due to its relatively low level of stock, which was keeping competition between buyers intense. Now, this is an important point when you're a buyer. You want to buy in those pockets that are going to have continued demand. So more people are going to want to live and buy in those areas. And we're noticing that in Brisbane that we're quite built out in the Brisbane market. Yes, if you move to Logan and Moreton Bay and definitely out near Ipswich, there's lots of land supply, lots of new developments. But really within the Brisbane market, there's not many pockets that have large land supply. And we're now seeing these tightly held areas grow in value quite rapidly. Over the past months, there's been 14,000 properties for sale, but at this time of the year, Brisbane would usually have around 24,000, she said. So that's just indicating that there's less stock on market. Simple supply and demand says that less stock on market is going to mean that there's going to be more demand for the properties and in turn drive prices up. That's very different to what's happening in Sydney and Melbourne, where they are back to pre-COVID stock levels. Brisbane's most popular neighbourhoods included Cleveland and Camp Hill, which top the list of suburbs with the highest total value of sales in Greater Brisbane, followed by North Lakes, Redland Bay and Thornlands. 4 suburbs in Brisbane have a median property values over $2 million or more. The most expensive suburb is Tenerife, with a median value of 2.38, followed by blue chip Ascot, acreage hotspot Chandler, and $1 million old money suburb Hamilton at 2.1. Georgie boy, hey? Just sneaking in. All right, out you go. So let's take a look at the top 10 highest median value suburbs in Brizzy at the moment. Tenerife, Ascot, Chandler, Hamilton, Hawthorn, Bulimba, St. Lucia, Paddington, Pullen, Vale and Milton. Now, of these suburbs, the bulk of these are within 3 kilometres or less of the CBD. So Bulimba is just across the water from Tenerife, Ascot is again just on the north side of the CBD. Now Chandler, like they said, is acreages, so there's large land holdings out there, and that's why it has such a high median price, and that area hasn't been subdivided yet. And I'm not sure if the council will ever allow that, but that's obviously up to the town planners. Same with Hamilton and Hawthorn. So Hawthorn and Bulimba are right next to each other. You can see here they've got all Brisbane inner city, Brisbane East, Brisbane West, and Brisbane West and Pullen Vale. So really all of those high price point suburbs are in that Brisbane inner city, a couple of kilometres from the CBD. I'm a bit surprised that New Farm isn't on here, but if they're going just by highest median value, the apartments might be bringing this down. So I'm not exactly sure if they're looking at just apartments or if it's total properties in an area as well, because for a house, you'd be looking around $2 million in New Farm at a minimum as a starting point. So let's read on. Patrick McKinnon of Place Real Estate Agents, Ascot, said the depth of Brisbane's market has taken everyone by surprise. Without a doubt, it's phenomenal. Over and over, things have kept moving, he said. I just don't see it slowing down. We've even seen a surge from Sydney. We haven't even seen a surge from Sydney yet. I've definitely seen a lot of my clients come from interstate, whether they're buying from Sydney or Melbourne as an investment opportunity. And we really focus on that investment stock. A couple of our clients want more owner-occupier stock, which is fine in terms of buying for themselves. But the bulk of our clients are investors from interstate who need a buyer's agent on the ground that can give them the resources, do the physical inspections and go out there and see properties. So it's great news for the business. It's great news for property if, more people from interstate are going to want to buy up here in Brisbane. It's not great if you're a Brisbane local and you want to buy into the market, but some supply and demand, and property is a commodity up here in Australia. So supply and demand is going to find an equilibrium at some point. And once people from interstate buy those properties up here in Brisbane, I'm sure the prices will settle for a little while. Now, REIQ CEO Antonia said the phenomenal property price growth in Queensland was a result of a number of factors driving insatiable demand. Queensland hasn't experienced this sustained level of demand and accelerated growth before. But after years of modest growth, prices here are playing catch up. You'll hear that from a lot of buyers agents, a lot of property commentators, that people were buying in Brisbane in 2011 and 2015, and they were expecting it to do something at that point. It's finally come to a head around 2019, 2020 and 2021, where those property prices have surged in the last few years. If you could have bought in 2018 and 2019, that probably would have been peak buying time. But that was right before we'd had the health crisis, and we're now seeing, a big wave of growth that's making up for the last 5 to 10 years of lower growth in the Brisbane market. Even as our median prices rise, our state is still demonstrating greater bang for buck, with investors looking to make their real estate dollar go further, and Southerners making the move, keen to lap up our state's incredible livability factor. That's exactly right. Brisbane is relatively affordable compared to our other major cities in Sydney and Melbourne. So there's definitely an incentive for people who want to stick to a major capital city in Australia, which has a large population, limited land supply, established suburbs. That's why Brisbane ticks a lot of boxes for people at the moment. It's not always going to be the case. Brisbane is not always going to be the place that I would look at buying, but we're going to continue to buy in Brisbane and be Brisbane specialists until the point it doesn't make sense to buy in the Brisbane market anymore. Now, in saying that, there are always opportunities. So you have specialists in Sydney, and even the prices are inflated in Sydney, there's still great buying opportunities. There's still people who want to get into the market there for their owner-occupier. And there's been great growth this year, over 25% growth in 2021. So Brisbane has these great factors for investors at the moment. It might not always be there, so we'll have to see what happens in terms of the median price points in the Brisbane market moving forward. Now, I love this. Traditional Queenslanders had been tightly held this year, and with a shortage of character homes on the market, any that had sold in 2021 commanded steep prices. Now, this is very lucky for Emily and I, because all of the properties we've bought up in Queensland have been Queenslanders. We love character homes ourselves. If you speak to any of the locals or anyone wanting to move up here interstate, I'm in a Queenslander at a moment. They have so much character. There's so much love and livability in them. They're quite breezy and open homes. Yes, they require a bit more maintenance. And yes, they're a bit of hard work sometimes, but we think that the character and keeping that old history and that old feel is great for our local areas And we really love these styles of homes up here in Queensland. So I can see why those properties will command a price premium. And we're very excited. You know, we've seen great growth and being able to refinance our portfolio this year to pull out equity and go look at making another investment property purchase. So it's been a massive year this year in the Brisbane market and across Australia as a whole. Obviously, Brisbane being the fastest growth coming towards the end of 2021 we've seen a surge in demand and a surge of people wanting to work with our buyers agency. And there's been a lot of offers on properties that we like and we're looking to buy on the open market. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get off-market or pre-market opportunities where you network with agents, network with sellers, and look to find local opportunities which haven't gone completely to the market yet. That's where you might be able to get a great opportunity. It doesn't mean the on-market opportunities are bad either, but you know, that little bit of extra work can open the doors in terms of giving you choices, in terms of making a good investment decision. Now, I know it's been a bit of a crazy year in terms of price growth this year in Brisbane, but I really do think it is a catch-up period of the last 10 years that we've had. Brisbane's been really stagnant in terms of its median prices and the growth in the market. So I really feel that the last 12 to 18 months, especially the last few months, are a reflection of the demand and the growth that was, you know, projected for Brisbane over the long term. So we expected the markets to have anywhere between 5 to 10% growth over the long term, 5 being conservative and 10 being on the very bullish side. And I think this massive 25% jump is a reflection of the long-term growth trajectory of Brisbane. We'll have to wait and see what happens in 2022, but make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video, and I'll bring more content around real estate renovating or financial freedom. If you want to see why or why not Queenslanders might be a good choice, click this video over here, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.